Ow. Good evening. It's Adam here again with another quick instant movie review for you. Ow. So tonight, I probably hurt my my common sense tonight, taking people to see this film. But tonight I saw the Cronenberg film called Infinity Pool. Now this film stars Alexander Skarsgård, Mia Goth, and Cleopatra Coleman, and it tells the story of a writer by the name of James Foster. He has written one book 6 years ago, and he has full-on writer's block. So he's spending his time with his wife Em, who he's been married with for 10 years, trying to find inspiration somewhere, and the two of them decide to go to this Croatian resort for a while for James to find some inspiration. And ironically there, he meets Gabby, played by Mia Goth, and her husband, who just happened to be, on this vacation as well. And Gabby is a fan of James's work, loves his last book, and can't wait for his next one. When the group decides it's a good idea to venture outside the walls of the resort, even though they're told not to have a bit of an outing, James accidentally runs over someone with a car, and he is taken by the authorities to pay his dues. But it's not bribing people or anything like that. He needs to be executed. Yeah, we got problems. He can either do that or enter into an interesting program that will see himself get killed. And then circumstances get way out of whack. Yeah. This film, as I mentioned, is directed by Cronenberg, who is the son of David Cronenberg, who is a very famous icky film, what's the word I'm looking for? Exploitation films, I suppose, and the schlocky films of the 1970s and 80s and 90s that really became part of the video nasties movement during that period of time. So Brandon has very much picked up the mantle where his dad has left off, and he's making films that very much have a social satirical edge to them. This film very much has social satire written all over it, and it does certainly put in mind to me, probably people's trips to Bali, I dare say, are very much along these lines as well. Maybe not to the full extreme this film goes to, but very much the whole "we'll see you next year for more debaucherous fun," which I'm sure happens a lot, unfortunately, for that country. But this film has some pretty extreme angles to it. It's an R-rated film. It does have some pretty graphic moments in all forms of graphic moments. I found it quite funny. It's as I said, it is a bit of a satire. So certain things are going to happen in this film and you're going to think, wow, that's horrendous. But really, they're quite funny. There is some very, very funny moments in this, and even the bits that you think are quite extreme, they sort of have a very satirical edge to them. So I suppose with this film, and I'm going to compare this a little bit to Triangle of Sadness in the fact that it has that same sort of bitey edge to it, but this film is very much more graphic than that film. So I suppose if you saw Brandon Cronenberg's last film, Possessor, you might get a little bit of an idea upon the style of thing you're going to walk into. I wouldn't say it is a horror film. That's probably the wrong thing to say. It's a squishy film, which is probably a thing to say, and it is quite graphic. So if you don't have if you have quite an unsettled tummy, you're probably not going to enjoy this film. And yeah, if you don't like exploitation, you probably won't enjoy this film either. But if you do enjoy a social satire, you do enjoy something to have a chat with your friends about afterwards, I think you're really going to enjoy this film. There is few big shout outs to this. Alexander Skarsgård is fantastic in this film. Really, really commits to his performance and does a phenomenal job. Mia Goth just continues to shine after Pearl, where she really just, she held that film together. And even in X, she was sort of the surprising, like, whoa, hang on, I thought we were going to be following this character, but we end up following her. It's quite amazing. And in this film, it really just solidifies that she is this century's screen queen when it comes to horror. So I'm very much interested to see what Mia does next, but she is fantastic in this film. In fact, the whole cast is great in this film. Cleopatra Coleman, the Australian actress, who really has started to make a big name for herself in the States, is really impressive as Em. It's a really hard role to have to play, but she plays it very, very well. So the camera work in this, the opening shot, if you're not big, if you're a little bit funny about flying and spinning around, you might find the opening shots of this film quite disconcerting and debobulating. I don't know if that's a word, but I've just made it up. Yeah, because they made me feel a little bit queasy, to be honest with you. But it's supposed to make you quite unsettled and question what's up and what's down, what's right and what's wrong, who's real and who's not. So some interesting questions are posed just through that one shot. The soundtrack for this is all-encompassing dread, and it does play upon it very, very well. Even the moments that are supposed to be quite nice and unforeboding become extremely foreboding just because of the soundtrack itself. Yeah, Brandon Cronenberg's direction is great. He leaves a lot of room in his frame for either the thought that something was going to happen, potentially that's going to be coming into that frame, shooting things off center, very much looking at letting things come into frame rather than go there. So very, very well shot. He's a great director. Very interesting vision as well. Yeah, I think a lot of this could have been cut down. We did see the 10-minute uncut version tonight, and it'd be interesting to see it with the 10 minutes cut out of it, because I don't think we would have lost a lot. Anyway, there you go. So that's my review of Infinity Pool, the new Brandon Cronenberg film. I would probably give this one 7 out of 10. I thought it was a really interesting premise. I think that there's certain things that could have been played on a little bit better. I think some of the exploitation is a little bit but overall I thought the concept was really interesting, and the performances were great, and the direction was very, very solid indeed. All right, have a great night if you can.